I just wanted to share some of the experience and the planning that technology has to do from an enterprise point of view in the coming days, and my view of what technology um, is going to look like post COVID. One thing is very obvious that it's screaming out even the last few weeks of experience that I think the technology landscape is going to be very different. So is the business, right? By the hour, we have to adjust to the new dynamics of the whole thing. So for me, in the next 3 4 minutes, I mean, I just wanted to share some of the things that in case if you're still going through it, that might be useful for you in terms of 4 weeks enablement of the business in a completely different model. The infrastructure is different. The endpoints are much more critical. The technology, the cloud, and the on-premise, the security, most importantly. And we're doing all this while managing user expectation and in a safe way, so that you're not sort of risking the lives of your IT people supporting the business and vice versa. So for me, I think I just have this thing that I'm looking at for reference. One thing is the cloud. Yeah, there's a lot of on-premise, the small medium on-premise stuff. I believe it's key for us, the ability to publish that on a cloud system, even if it was on our system, but we were able to publish that on a cloud system so that it's accessible to users outside on their home networks was a lifesaver. So for me, I personally think I think cloud. This is what I think cloud was. This is what is going to confirm the transition of. Of the current slash legacy systems onto this future of cloud anywhere, everywhere, but more importantly, centralized shared service of management of all this. It's very important. It's very key, um, and has been a lifesaver, if I may admit. Clearly, from transportation, we're moving on to teleportation, aren't we? None of the meetings in the whole supply chain, and I can just talk about technology delivery. The whole supply chain has now moved slash gone virtual, which means apart from some of the ground operation, where of course the hardware has to move from one warehouse to the other, from one hardware store to the other, everything else is virtualized, and we're still in process. Sort of, in fact, look for recommendations if you have any ideas on how best to handle, be it third party. Delivery service that can help troubleshoot issues with hardware, or do do did you come up with the hybrid model? So it's all virtual now. I think in cloud, I think for me this is the first point. Now the area of my expertise, and I think which has become certainly very critical, is the end user computing devices, right? And then I think some of the elements are very obvious, very straightforward. You can see them. The endpoints. Certainly, the whole shift, available. They were important always, but the whole mobility landscape coming in, the mobile phones, the iPads, and of course the laptops. It's been there for decades now, but I think the importance of the endpoint has become so key now. The robustness of the hardware, right? The enterprise machines, the enterprise grade of the endpoint has become important. The whole disaster recovery and high availability has literally now boiled down to the endpoint. So if your endpoint fails to operate, literally the whole thing is stuck in you. The fact that you cannot go out, you cannot replace it easily, making it very critical that these devices were robust for. So for any business, for us, I think all those decisions around enterprise grade, military grade tested endpoints was a lifesaver. It just kept on working. Disaster recovery. I think the cloud and multiple operating systems become your new disaster recovery, doesn't it? So you can access your email or productivity applications through iPad, through your mobile phone, or your laptop device. Inherently gives you that high availability option. It's not the best, it's not the solution, but for now, that's how we're sort of managing that. Um, Load on the centralized resources will be shared. things like bandwidth. So if everything was coming onto your enterprise connection, now I think it's sort of make sure that your proxies and web gateways or whatever you're using is actually just going straight on to the internet and using split bandwidth consumption for share load. So I think for us that was a lifesaver. For me. Finally, the operations, which are very close to my heart. I think operations is key. Operations in terms of the endpoints, operation in terms of hardware repair. Clearly, a massive shift from hands-on support to remote support. I know a lot of level 1, level 0 type work was already there, right? But it's the level 2s that I'm talking about which required ground intervention. Yeah, so I think there will be a lot of shift in the coming weeks. Even post-corona, I think it will have to move to a remote model. I'm ramping up by almost 20-30%. Is what my recommendation is, that your self-sufficiency has to go higher now, if on now or never basis, which means upskilling the level 2 and level 3 teams on handling users, and vice versa. The level 0, level 1 teams ramping up on the on technology skills. Yes, it's no longer can happen with commodity skills. So that's all for this session. Yeah, I'll create more logs as they come along. Yes, thanks for listening.